Ukraine got bombed yesterday, and we have like the power is down, electricity, the internet. So we have like a bunch of things that's going on, but we are here. We are not giving up. So
Great.
it's really nice to see you. So girls, please meet Paul English. He can tell you whatever he thinks it would be useful for you to know. But mainly, we talk to them, and they're interested in life scenarios and advice and your passion and you like how you became who you are. That's it.
That's great. Thanks for the intro. It's nice to meet everyone.
Oh. All right, so sorry about the connection, but let's continue. What you think would be useful for us to know, your perspectives.
So you'd like me to open up with some comments and then go to questions after that? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, well, it's very nice to be connected, everyone. As you know, I know that Kate had shared some information about my work. In the past, I'm a programmer by training. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in computer science, which I got in Boston, Massachusetts. And I have now started and sold 6 companies. I'm best known for Kayak.com, which is a travel company, which I sold for $2 billion to Booking.com. But I've also created and sold companies in e-commerce, customer service, security software, consumer travel, business travel, and podcasting in my 6 companies. I've also started 4 nonprofits. I started a school system in Haiti. We have 10,000 students and 40 schools. I have created a racial justice organization in Boston called Embrace Boston. We raised $35 million for racial justice in the city. And then I organized an annual event for homeless people in Boston called the Winter Walk for Homelessness. We've done it for 8 years, raised $1 million a year. And now this year we're taking it national to like 3 or 4 other cities. And then lastly, I've started a nonprofit this year called the Bipolar Social Club for helping people with bipolar illness, just to share stories and help each other out. I have bipolar illness myself. So those are my companies and my nonprofits. My advice to each of you as you look ahead for your career in joining a startup or starting your own company is the most important thing by far is going to be who you choose to spend your time with, who you hire to join your company, or what company you decide to join. They say that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. And so you should be very selective who you spend your time with. You know from your lessons that every company needs a mission statement in terms of like what you're trying to do, what's the vision for the company. I think every human needs a mission statement as well. Like my mission statement is to alleviate suffering, and each one of you should have your own mission statement. And then you should think about the people you spend your time with. Are they helping you on your mission? And your mission statement can change over time. Like maybe now you have one thing you want to achieve over the next 5 years. And as you get older, you might want to achieve something different. But you should always have a goal, a journey you want to go on. It could be just learning, meeting people, whatever you think your journey should be. And then make sure you surround yourself with people who can help you along that journey. Aside from trying to find the right team for your company, either joining another company or creating your own, the next thing you need to do is just focus a lot, very carefully on your customers and making sure you're talking to customers yourself. Like don't outsource it. Don't hire someone to talk to the customers. You need to do it yourself so you understand like what's working, what's not working with the product, and what do they like, what don't they like. And if you learn customer interviewing techniques and usability testing techniques, you can learn a lot from these interactions, which can help you improve the product to make it work for more and more customers. When a customer reaches out to you and they're angry, this is a really good thing because an angry customer is just a passionate person who had a bad experience. And if you can convince them, fix their problem, and make them happy, you then have an incredible evangelist for your company. When someone sends you flame mail and they like torch your company, they think your company is doing something like has a terrible product, it's really important to talk to that person because that person took the time to email you but with the same bad experience with your product, but they didn't bother to email you. So it's really important to talk to your customers. Aside from that, like recruiting, trying to find the best team possible, and then organizing your team around the customers. There are just some other good business practices that you need to keep in mind in terms of running a really good company. Like when you have meetings, every meeting should have two goals. One, to come to decisions quickly. Two, to improve the relationship with the people in the room. And that should always be an explicit goal because you want to work at a company that's trying to make the best job of people's careers. You want people to be excited about their job and to like the people they're working with. And so as a leader in a company, you need to spend probably 5% of your time as a psychologist and kind of debug interactions, observe interactions, watch how people talk with each other. Sometimes you've heard companies talk about culture and they describe their culture and they put it on a poster up on the wall. That's interesting. But what's more interesting with culture is just how people treat each other inside the company. And if you pay attention to how people interact, you'll start noticing things. For example, men interrupt women more than women interrupt men. This is obviously a really shitty thing. If you see this, though, you can fix it. When you see something that's wrong, you just call it out and you coach people and you try to give people immediate feedback, one-on-one feedback, not in front of the group. So if we get a good team, we align on a customer problem, and the problem is more important than your product. Most companies fail not because they didn't build a good product, is they built a product no one cared about. They didn't solve a big enough problem. So really rallying around what the problem trying to solve is really important. So hire the team, focus on the customer problem, talk to customers every day, and then be very mindful of how your team interacts with each other. Those are some of the keys that have helped make my company successful to date. And I guess now I'll just maybe open it up to questions.
Yeah. Guys, do you wanna anyone?
Hi, my name is Maria. I'm a psychologist, so my question will be related to a psychological. How do you manage to get everything done on time without falling into hyper focus on one exact thing that you need to do?
How do I get everything done on time instead of just staying on one thing?
Yeah, like how do you manage to have your time without falling into hyper focus on one thing? Yeah, how do you manage all the things you need to do? Maybe
Yeah, so for me, for me, I use my calendar and I use email both very carefully. I make sure that my calendar has times blocked aside to do work, not just to be in meetings all day long, but there needs to be time blocked off for you to get your work done. Um, I have I share a task list with the whole company in terms of like what are the high level priorities and what's like the roadmap for the products. And then we make sure we know when each thing is due and who's accountable for each thing. And then we have regular check-ins with the team about how things are going. Some of our projects do daily check-in and we see how we're doing with the task list for this week. Are we getting everything done? Some of them do it less often than that. But I think having accountability of the team to each other is really important so that when you're looking at all the things you have to get done in a day in a company, you need to have pride to like keep checking things off the list. But you also need to have accountability to your boss or to your colleagues that if you said you're going to do something, you have to honor your word and you have to get that thing done. So I think it's by having things written down and then having like daily accountability is allows me to execute many things at once.
Yeah, and how do you deal with anxiety if you have one?
How what?
How do you deal with anxiety
Anxiety?
if you have one, of course?
Yeah. I think the biggest way that I've dealt with mental health conditions is to be quietly open to some people about what's going on with you. I think that anyone struggling with mental health, you need to find three people to confide in. One person in your family, one person in your friend group, and one person in your company. And if you can find those three people and sort of tell them your secrets, that I'm having panic attacks, or I can't sleep, or I'm, you know, my father has alcohol abuse, or whatever the struggle is that you're having, find those people to share it with. And sharing something unburdens yourself a little bit. People can take some of that weight off your shoulder. They can help you. Just by talking improves things. And by having three people worry about you and worry for you can help you on your path. There's no healing in secrecy. If you keep your problems to yourself, you're not going to heal. But if you share, and not just with those three people, but ultimately, if you're really struggling a lot, try to find a therapist you can talk to. And it's through talking with other people that you will find a path sort of away from anxiety and towards peace. I also have studied Buddhism for many years, and that's been very meaningful for me.
Thank you. And my last question, what do you think about artificial intelligence in psychology and in psychotherapy? Would it be useful for you? For example, would you use an AI psychologist? And what do you think is the future in these technologies?
I think it's required simply because there are not enough therapists in the world to help everyone. Like ultimately, every person has a therapist, a personal coach they can talk to about their struggles throughout the day. But it would mean that we'd need 8 billion therapists, right? If we have a therapist for every person, we can't do that. There are not enough therapists out there. So I think AI plays a role in that you can have a discussion with an AI. And if the AI is trained on everything ever written on the internet, including every psychology book and book about therapy, you can learn wisdom of other therapists and psychologists through an AI. So I think it is useful. Like hopefully someone who's really struggling, they'll have a personal contact, someone they can see, and be impressing with ideally. But short of that, when that's not available, I think AI can be a very helpful tool.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Anyone? Anyone? Is it have?
Hi, Paul. Thank you for being here for us. My name is Kate, and as a Ukrainian woman, as a Ukrainian leader, I'm interested in how you led your company through challenges. So, can you please share a specific example where you had to make tough decisions to keep the company on track?
Yeah, let me think of a good example. Um, at Kayak, we are a travel company, kayak.com. We let people buy flights and hotels. And we would get paid by the airlines and by the hotels. When someone clicked to buy the flight or to reserve that hotel, they would pay us a commission. The largest airline in the United States is called American Airlines. And one time American Airlines told us they refused to pay us and we have to remove their fares from our website so we can no longer show their content. And really, by doing this, they lost revenue because we have been sending them a lot of traffic every day. But they are, the phrase 800-pound gorilla, like the heavy person in the room, the one with the power. They were the 800-pound gorilla. And when we no longer could show their fares, it mean our customers didn't trust us anymore because we didn't have everything. We only had the other airlines, but we didn't have the biggest airline. So we had to go back to American Airlines and negotiate and come up with a solution where they didn't pay us commission for every booking, but they bought some ads in different places on the website. So we had to change our business model to accommodate our largest customer because they just had that much power over us. So we had to cave to them. we didn't want to keep them off the website because our customers wouldn't trust us if we didn't have them. So that's a case where a major customer threatened us and challenged us. And because they had more market power than we did at that point, we kind of had to cave to their wishes, which is painful to do, but it resulted in us having everyone back on the website. I don't know if that's a good example. I could think of other examples as well. Let me just think of one other example. I had another company where my co-founder would fight with the board of directors all the time. And one time during a board meeting, it was a very heated exchange back and forth. And the board asked myself, my co-founder, to leave the room while they talk amongst themselves. And then after 10 minutes, they brought me back into the room and they said, "We want you to fire your co-founder. We don't believe him anymore." And my co-founder was someone I'd worked with for 20 years. And that was extremely difficult. And I had to figure out, the board base didn't support him, so he had to leave. And I tried to negotiate with him to see, is there some way he would consider a role that he's not on the board, but he's still in the company? Or if he leaves, what does the separation agreement look like? Like, how do we pay him? Because when you fire someone in the US, you have to pay them a certain amount of money. And we had to negotiate that. This was because he was my longtime collaborator. He was a friend. I was in a tricky situation where I had to negotiate him leaving the company, but he's my friend, so I want to take care of him. But I'm also running the company, so I didn't want to spend too much money. And what I ended up doing in that case is, my chairman is a woman named Gail Goodman, and I went to her and I had her help me negotiate his severance package, just because it wouldn't put me in an awkward position of being both the friend and the boss. So I relied on someone else to help me navigate that. I don't know if those are good examples, but those are the first two that came to mind.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hello, my name is Margarita. When you create a new project, what kind of team do you assemble, and what roles and positions do you trying to fill, and maybe where do you look these yours people?
What's the last one? Where to what?
Where do you look these people for your team?
Where do I look for them?
Yes.
So I'm a software engineer, and all my companies have been technology companies. And with each company, I need core product team, which means a product manager to write specifications, a product designer to design what the screens look like, and an engineer to build. So I need a pod of at least those three people to get started. And then on the go-to-market team, I need a marketer who can help figure out where to buy ads on Google and elsewhere, how to buy ads very efficiently, and how to get press, how to get reporters to write stories about us, and how to communicate on social media to try to get a following to learn about our products. So that's the second hire that I do. First, it's the product pod, then the marketer, and then based on the company, whether it's a B2C consumer company or B2B business software company, I might hire someone in business development or sales who can then take the product and sell it to our prospective customers. As far as where I look, if I understand your last question, I'm recruiting always. I'm always looking for talented people to hire, and they can be anywhere in the world. I have a team right now in Pakistan, for example. I have another team in Hong Kong, and really it can be anywhere, but I'm just always looking for people that are extremely bright and aggressive and driven. And you can find those people anywhere if you're just always looking for it. I always ask people that I work with, when I meet someone amazing, I always say to them, like, "You're amazing. I'm so happy to work with you." And I'll say, "Who's the best person you ever work with, like at your school or your past company? Who is like the smartest programmer you've ever met?" And then when they tell me who that person is, I say, "Can you introduce me to them?" And I try to meet them and I try to convince them to quit their job and to come work for me. So I'm always asking my network to introduce me to their network.
Is temperament of these people maybe someone who more claim, or I don't know,
He's basically asking, do you pay attention to soft skills, or this is just the hard skill, filtering, or how would you like evaluate those people you would want to work with?
The hard skills versus soft skills, you mean?
Yeah.
Hard skills versus hire someone, you have to write up a job description and an interview guide about what questions you're going to ask them, who in your team will interview them, who's going to ask which questions to make sure that you have a good process for deciding whether to hire someone or not. Ultimately, it comes down to two things. One, which is, are they technically smart? Can they get the job done? Have they done successful things in the past? You're impressed with their past. And do they have the skills needed to do the marketing you need or the product design that you need or whatever it is? They have the skills. The second thing, which is the other 50%, is are they going to improve your team? And every person you hire should have a goal of this person's going to make our team stronger. They're going to like them. They're going to enjoy work with them. They're going to be fun. They're going to be transparent, clear communicator, honest. And so I look for those two things. One, really strong hard skills, technical skills, and two, really great team skills. And I always look for both.
Like the main problem with AI in the next 3 years, like
Oh,
what
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
can you
So I recently bought a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses made by Facebook, by Meta. And I'm not wearing them now, but they look like these glasses.
Yes,
Kate has a pair as well. And they're really incredible. I think that every pair of eyeglasses now is going to come with a very tiny speaker that it can talk to into your ear, and a very small microphone so you can talk to it. And it's nice to have your phone where you can type into your phone, or if it's not too loud around, you can type to your phone or talk to your phone, but you have to take it out of your pocket or out of your purse. But if you're just wearing your computer's with you at all time, 20, you're always, when you're awake, you're having your computer on your body and you just talk to it. That's going to change things. If people are going to need speech interface, is going to become really, really important, that it's fast, that it's immediate, there's no delay. So making speech work better, make it be multilingual. So you could talk to someone and they could speak to you in English, but then it speaks back to you in English. Just doing real-time speech and processing. The other thing about language models, large language models, which is the biggest hype in AI over the last year, one of the things it needs, in addition to becoming better at real-time speech, which I think is very, very important, it needs to be more transparent. So large language models have the problem of hallucination, where they can just make stuff up. And sometimes when you ask questions to ChatGPT, it'll make an answer. And then you have to say, well, why did you come up with that answer? Where did that come from? And there needs to be more transparency. So a large language model needs to cite its sources for, here's why I made this recommendation important. So real-time speech is the first thing that I'm looking forward to. And then more transparency, so you know why the AI comes up with a certain answer.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Uliana, but I'm going to be asking a question for one of my friends. This question is a little bit more technical, since you said you were like mostly part of technology companies. Are there any problems or glitches in like the applications or the tech that you've made, and how quickly and efficiently can you solve them? And does this like do these glitches or like the speed at which you solve the glitches affect the operation of the application as a whole?
All right. And the connection isn't great for me, so I'm missing like a little bit of the words. So can you repeat that again?
Yeah, I was going to ask, are there any problems or glitches that happen in your applications or your technology, and how quickly does it matter if you can solve them?
With one of my companies that I'm running today, for example?
Yeah.
Is this a general question, or you want me to answer for like my companies?
With I guess either one is fine. If you have an example, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of a product I'm working on now. We have a new company called SuperCal that does calendar application. And the way it works is you can email like 5 people, and then you CC Alex at supercal.com. And Alex is an AI, and it sends an email to the 5 people saying, click here to connect your calendar, and we'll find the best time for the 5 of you to meet with Paul. And we have a number of challenges. One is that we need Alex to answer within 100 milliseconds. So by the time you get an email from me saying, let's meet to talk about the budget, you'll see the reply from Alex instantly. So you'll see, I will say, let's meet to talk about the budget. And Alex will say, click here to connect your calendar. So we're trying to make that instant. And we're doing, evaluating a bunch of email services from AWS, Google, SendGrid, and there's one other one I forget. So trying to do real time. The second thing we're doing is we're now using Gen AI to read the body of the email, because sometimes people reply, instead of tipping their availability, they'll type and they'll say, I'm going away this weekend, I'm back on Tuesday. We need to read that and understand it and parse it. So we're using AI to parse the body of the emails to help us decide like when is a time when people can meet. So those are a couple problems companies under development. Has Kate told you about the app that she's working on, PartyClick? I don't know if you've seen that, partyclick.com. That's an application that Kate and I work on together. It's a very exciting application to let people plan a party together and to share photos.
And then the second question is a little bit more general, but it's related. So do these glitches and problems, how do they affect like the operation or the creation of the application or the technology as a whole?
How do the problems impact the
Yeah.
operation
Yeah.
technology? Yeah, when you have a problem with your software, a problem you're trying to solve, you need to prioritize all of the problems that you're having, like all the bugs you have in the software or features that are missing, and just fix, like go after the low-hanging fruit first, like the ones that are easy to fix or quick to fix. You need to fix those as quickly as you can, and then just keep testing your software. Like there should be a new version at least every week, and maybe every day. You should keep updating your technology with fixes that you're doing, and you need to just keep testing it and testing it and testing it until users have no more questions and they're using it more and more. So for example, for PartyClick, which is the invitation system that Kate is running, one of the features we have is if you're planning a party, let's say Friday at 7 p.m., at 7:30 p.m., half an hour after the party starts, we will text the 15 people coming to your party, and we will say, click here to add photo to Kate's album. So we need to design the technology so when they get that text, we need to write that text very carefully so people aren't annoyed by it, but they like it. And they say, oh yeah, I like Kate. I'm here at her party. I want to share photos. I would click that and take a photo. And we need to make sure that the whole process is as simple as possible. And then we measure ourselves every day by like what percent of people who go to a party take a photo and how many photos do people take, and can we keep tweaking the software to make it easier and easier so we get more people taking photos.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adelina. I study technical translation at university, so I learned different fields of also engineering and IT. But I have maybe lots of questions, but if it will possible to answer them. Firstly, for me, it's very interesting how did you understand like the moment that you had have the idea and it's really can work?
So my filtering process, I come up with ideas for new companies about 2 or 3 times a week. I have ideas for new companies, and we obviously don't have enough people to start 2 to 3 companies a week at my studio. We can start maybe 2 to 3 companies a year. So what we do is when I have an idea, I will write up a Google document, a plan describing the problem that I want to solve and how we would solve it and how it's different than how people are solving that problem today. And I'll pitch it to my core team. If my team is excited about it and then they start working on it, they do more research, maybe do a design, look at a competitor. If people start working on it, that's the first filter, that it's not just a good idea in your head, but your friends and colleagues, they want to work on it too. And then once you have a few people working on it, you build a prototype and you test it with people to see, does this work or not? Like how big a problem is it? Like validate the size of the problem. And then is your approach something that people would pay money for? So
Uh,
that's kind of my filtering process. The first one is get people to work on the idea because you can get other people excited, not just yourself, and then validate it with a prototype.
Did you have some situations that you had idea, but your team say it's not very good or didn't accept? What were
I
your
if my team rejects my idea, I abandon the idea because I trust my team. I have a really exceptional team. My skill is product design, but also recruiting. I love recruiting. I love hiring. And I have this very gifted team at my studio, and I trust them because they're very strong. So if no one on my team likes my idea and wants to work on it, I will abandon.
uh, maybe you face with such situations that you have an idea, yeah, you come up with it, but somebody else from you felt the concurrence, yeah, and somebody also made such idea. What were your feelings and how did you cope with it? That somebody has maybe similar idea as you.
To me, it doesn't matter where the idea comes from. We work as a team. We discuss everything openly as a team. If someone has an idea similar to mine but is better, we'll pursue their idea, not mine. It's whichever idea the team is most excited about, that's the one we work on.
Okay, and when you faced with such a difficult situation here, how were you how you remain true to your morals in very difficult situations? When you make difficult also decisions as a leader of company and so etc.
How do I stay true to my world? What do you mean?
Like to some your values
Yeah.
which you work on which you like build your life.
Yeah, so I think every founder should be explicit about their values. And when they hire their first few employees, they should get together and talk about what are the values of this company? What do we want to be known for? So, like one company might say, I used to work for someone who was very secretive and I want my company to be transparent, where we're very honest. We tell everything, and that can be a value for your company. If let's say the first 5 people get together and they think about what are the shared values that we're going to promote across the company, and transparency is one of those values. As long as you talk about the values regularly and you challenge people on it. So if something is happening, it's not transparent, you should say to people, that's not honest. We need to be honest with people. We've said honesty and transparency is one of our core values. So I know this is a difficult circumstance, but let's find a way to communicate, just share people exactly what it is we're worried about. So I think it's get the founding team together to come up with the shared values and then test each other on them to make sure that you're actually executing within that value framework.
Okay, and you choose technical field here. Why did you choose this? What motivated you to work in this field?
Why did I choose what?
Technical field for working.
Oh, I have a brother. I'm one of 7. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And my oldest brother was a programmer. And so when I was in high school, he built a game that was very famous. And I said, whoa, I want to learn how to do that too. So I taught myself how to write software. I was a musician at the time. I was a very serious musician in high school and college. But when I learned programming, I sort of fell in love with that. And I just really love design and trying to make things simple and beautiful.
And my last question would be, now we're talking about the technologies have a huge impact on our society, yeah? How technologies, the development of them will impact the system of traveling here? How can it change? Maybe we'll have some autopilot planes. I don't know what do you think?
For travel, so I'm sorry, the connection is not great. So I'm missing some words. Can you say it again?
Yeah, of course. Now technologies has a huge influence on our society. So what's in your opinion, how it can impact on the ways of traveling on the system which is built now?
How can technology improve travel?
Yeah, how can they change it? In which way?
Yeah, so there's a lot of technology used for travel planning, like how people decide where to travel to and which plane they should get on and how much price it costs to fly. And that field is being changed by AI and personalization because the more the software knows about you and all your preferences and the way you've traveled before, it can predict how you want to travel in the future. It doesn't need to ask you lots of questions. It can make assumptions based on your past travel. So one thing as a technologist, I would say is for people working on travel software, you want to learn as much as possible about the user and how they travel and apply that to their future travel.
And do you think robots are danger for us? Can it be like a huge threatness for us or no?
Yeah, I think certainly there'll be bad people who will program robots to do bad things. And we just have to hope that the good people will protect us by having technology that protects us against robots that could be designed to harm us. But yes, that's happening. We see it already happening with drones in Ukraine right now today. And a drone is sort of a type of robot. So yeah, there will be robots that are designed to harm people. And we just have to hope that the free world builds better technology to protect people. This could be something that maybe some of the women in the room right now that you could decide to work on. You could start companies to do this. Could be very interesting.
Why not? Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Still not questions? No? Okay. Thank you so much, Paul. We were talking with the girls about like presentation and design, and first like how to figure out branding, life of the brand when you build before it evolves into something else. How it goes usually.
Yeah, so one of the apps that my team is working on is a dating app called Lola. It's lola.com, Lola. And we created a certain brand with a type of user in mind. And then we found out that like when we have young users don't have budget to pay for dating apps. And so we need to now say, okay, let's go after a little bit of an older market where people are used to paying for dating apps. But the brand for an older market is a little bit different than the brand for a younger market. So we're having to evolve the brand a little bit to fit that market. I think your brand has to be designed to fit the target demographic you're going after. So one of the first things you have to decide as a company is who's our best user? Like what type of user is that? Is it male? Is it female? What age? What education? And when you know who your user is, you can then design a brand which appeals to that user and which relates to the other brands that that user is using. At some point, a brand can be stuck in the past and you have to create new brands. Like Facebook now is not used by young people, it's used by older people. And when Facebook realized this, they changed the name of their company from Facebook to Meta. And they introduced a new brand now called Meta, which is a social brand that goes across all their products, including Instagram and Threads and WhatsApp. So sometimes you have to create new brands if your old brand is stuck on a certain customer base and if things are different. You try to adjust where you can. But sometimes if you're very successful with one customer base, it's hard to change that to something else.
Yeah, and maybe the last question about this Buddhism and the philosophy. Like, who gave you the idea to go into Buddhism and not, let's say, other religions?
Yeah. I look at Buddhism more as a philosophy than a religion because there's no like gods. Like Buddha is not a god. He was just a person, and he talks about a way to live a life with peace and without stress and without anxiety. And I was introduced to Buddhism through one of my brothers, my older brother, who's a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would visit him in his house in San Francisco, he had a lot of books about Buddhism, and I would read those books to teach me about it. And Buddhism has helped me in my life a lot. Like one thing it's helped me with is to get rid of anger. I used to have a lot of anger in my life when I was in my 20s, and Buddhism has taught me how to get rid of anger. And when you learn that anger is violence on yourself, you have a decision to make about, do I want to bring this violence on myself? There's a saying in Buddhism that being angry at someone else is like drinking poison and expecting them to die. When you realize that anger hurts yourself, you can make a decision to just say, I'm not going to get angry. If something is wrong and I can change it, I'll change it. If I can't change it, I'm just going to accept it. And it's a simple thing to say, it's a hard thing to execute, but by studying Buddhism and studying a Vietnamese Buddhist named Thich Nhat Hanh, I learned how to get rid of anger in my life.
Anything else, or that's it? Yeah, thank you so much. And it's really encouraging to see you. And thank you for sharing knowledge about things you know and experience and build. So it's very cool. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much. Very nice to meet all of you. Okay, bye-bye now. Thank you.